Shields up, Iron Breakers, and that's Iron Breakers, not Arm Breakers, as a lot of you guys like to meme on, or maybe it's because of the fact that YouTube always autocorrects the subtitles to Arm Breakers for some strange reason. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce Iron Breakers in order to have it say Iron Breakers, but anyway, I want to make sure that you guys understand that that is the word that I am using, and for those of you that don't know, this is what an Iron Breaker is. It is a dwarven unit in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and it is one of the most resilient units, at least it was back when I played Warhammer Fantasy Battles. It was one of the most resilient units in the game, and that is why I affectionately call each and every one of you in my audience Iron Breakers, because if you watch my videos, they're going to temper you in the steel of battle, and you're going to become extremely resilient to any kind of damage. At least that's the way that I like to think of it. That is the reasoning behind Iron Breakers, which is completely unrelated to today's topic, but I figured I'd bring it up anyways because it just become a meme at this point. People come up to me, Arm Breakers, and it's like, no, it's not Arm Breakers, it's Iron Breakers. Anyway, today's topic is once again about Monster Hunter Rise, and specifically, I want to talk about artificial intelligence, or AI. And the reasoning I'm going to be bringing this up is because I need to hear from you guys that have experience with Monster Hunter Rise, both on the Nintendo Switch and on the PC version. Whether that is you've played on the Nintendo Switch and then you've watched me play on the PC version, you're like, from watching your playthrough, there were these things that happened that definitely seems like there's something there to your theory, Rurikhan, or whether you've actually gotten to play both on the PC and on the Switch and you noticed this difference as well. Now, this could just be like recency bias, or maybe I'm just going crazy in my old age. I don't know, but I definitely feel like this is the case, and this is something that I've mentioned on a lot of my live streams on Monster Hunter Rise. And that is that I get this feeling that on the PC version, both monsters as well as your companions, so the palicoes and palamutes, appear to have better AI. Now, why do I say this? There's a multitude of reasons. So for starters, those of you who watch my recent live streams on PC, you'll know that I play with two palicoes. There's a lot of reasons behind that, but it's like two palicoes to me is just more satisfying. I like the utility that they bring, but even more importantly, I just like seeing the crazy animations that palicoes have for a lot of their abilities, and that I feel like they work really well with my Gunlance gung-ho playstyle that I tend to do, which is just like throw yourself at the monster until the monster dies or I die. And the palicoes that I use, which is the Bombardier palicoes, I feel are very effective in that aspect. I mean, a lot of people constantly ask me about, oh, should I use palicos, palamutes, whatever. It's like, there's a different answer to everyone. Like, if you look at speedrunners, they're using palamutes, but even palamutes, I feel like, could potentially be benefiting from this if my theory is correct. Now, like I said, this is very much based on a feeling that I get from having played 700 hours on the Switch and now coming up on like 80 hours on the PC or something like that. And I definitely get this vibe that things are different in terms of AI. Now, in terms of monsters, one of the things that I notice is that there's several attacks that monsters will do that I used to be able to just like, say, run to the side. Like, I specifically remember it was during, I think, Allmother, that there's one of the attacks that she does that I'm able to just run to the side and not get hit. And for whatever reason, I kept getting hit, despite doing the same things that I would do on the Switch to dodge this same attack. And it's not just Allmother. I know that there were other monsters where I was like, you know, I would get hit by something and I'd be like, because sometimes, you know, you make a mistake, whatever, I get hit, I cart, whatever. Yeah, I can usually recognize, yeah, I messed up there. I did this thing like that. But there are several times where there's attacks because with like 700 hours of muscle memory built in, there are certain animations that the monsters do that you instantly recognize and you're like, okay, in order to dodge this attack, I got to do this. And I would do it, but it seems like on PC, the monsters would be able to correct their attack a little bit more than what I've seen on the Nintendo Switch. Now, again, like I said, this could be recency bias, could be me going crazy, which is why I'm coming here to ask you guys if you've noticed that, specifically in terms of monsters, but not just not just the monsters themselves, because besides the what appears to me to be a little bit of additional correction of monster moves and whatnot, and them just being able to apply their moves a little bit more effectively in certain situations, another thing that I've noticed is that the palicoes themselves are like going insane. Like my palicoes, like I play double bombardier palicoes because I like explosions, gun lance main, all of that stuff, right? But the double bombardier palicoes at least appear to be doing more abilities more often on the PC than they were doing in the console. Now, like I said, there's no easy way to actually test this out. I mean, I could just do like, oh, I'm gonna pick up my Switch and do like 100 hunts and try to reduce the variables as much as possible, which, as you know, there's always a ton of variables when it comes to Monster Hunter. Like maybe your palicos weren't feeling all that well that day, or maybe the palicos just missed a bunch of abilities. So that's why you would need something like 100 hunts with palicos on the same monster repeatedly, so that you could also analyze monster patterns and palico patterns in relation to that monster, and then do 100 hunts on the PC as well and compare all that stuff. And I don't have time for that, okay? I'm gonna be real. I don't have time to go do 100 hunts of the same monster over and over on the Nintendo Switch and then go back and do the same thing on PC. I don't have time to do that stuff because I have other projects that I want to dedicate my time to, and I'm also the father of 2 children. So there's that to it. But if you have played on the Nintendo Switch and you are currently playing on PC, I'm very curious to hear from you, because obviously there's the argument to be made where it's like, well, PC just has more resources, it has more processing power, you've got more RAM, you have all of these things, and the Nintendo Switch has more limited processes. And it's like, well, yeah, that's all well and good, but did Capcom actually program like the whatever AI they put into these monsters to take advantage of those additional resources? Because I'll tell you right now, one of the things that a lot of people have been asking me is, Rurikhan, are you going to be playing Sunbreak on PC or on Switch? And if the AI of the monsters is better on PC, then obviously I'm much more interested in playing there, because that is where I'm going to get the most challenge. Now, I haven't really gotten to the Apex emergency quests yet, which I think are going to provide me with additional data in regards to whether or not, additional data as in my experience through it will be able to show me even more in regards to whether or not I feel like the monsters are getting harder. Because at the same time, there's also the fact that at this point, I've also gotten better at the game. But again, see, the fact that I've gotten better at the game by playing 700 hours on the Switch should mean that I was, even better when I got to the PC. But the fact that some monsters are still able to sneak those attacks in, or maybe overcorrect some of their attacks in ways that I haven't expected, it's weird. It's just weird, and I just really need to see if anybody else feels the same way, which is why I wanted to make this video. I want you guys to go into the comment section if you've played both, or even if you haven't played the PC version, but you've watched me play it, and you played on the Nintendo Switch, and you're like, hey, you know what? There was that hunt where the monster did that thing that on the Switch, it was definitely different. Like, if you've noticed any of this, right? If you've noticed anything in regards to AI when it comes to Monster Hunter Rise on PC, please let me know in the comment section of this video. I am super curious to see if I'm the only one thinking about this. At least I haven't seen more people talk about it, so it's a very interesting topic. If the fact that the way in which Capcom programs these monsters, which, they do routines for the monsters, obviously go here, go there, attack here, attack there. If the way in which those routines have been programmed, it's just a simple fact that you put the game in superior hardware can lead to a more interesting experience from an AI standpoint, I think that's very fascinating in a lot of ways as well. Because obviously with more resources you can have better AI, but that has to come from good programming as well. So just let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit it up with a like. If you did not enjoy the video, hit it up with a dislike. Feedback is important. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out, Iron Breakers.